The Energized Show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Our Kings Competitions. Ross,
are you intoxicated or something?
How are you doing, boy? Welcome back to the show.
I am doing absolutely fantastic. The weather is heating up. Irish MMA scene is heating up, and the Energized boys are back. It is going to be an unbelievable couple of months on the Irish MMA scene. We have big fights going down in PFL, couple of big fights coming down in the UFC, and Cage Warriors Dublin is on the horizon. And the domestic scene, the fight cards are filling up fast. So I'm really, really looking forward to the next couple of months in the Irish MMA scene. And Basmo, we are back with a banger of a show for everyone.
Yeah, Ross. I'm sure we're going to have to get into the biggest fight to happen in the Irish MMA scene was myself and yourself. But we'll save that for later, won't we, man?
Yeah, absolutely. The show went on hiatus for a month or two. Massive beef between me and Basmo. But look, we'll let you know about that another time.
So if you are new to the show, make sure to like and subscribe because we are back, baby, and we're going to be bigger and better than ever because we're on the road to 20,000 followers on Instagram, Ross.
Yeah, not far off. I think we're about 500 or so shy. So if you haven't been over to the Energized Show Instagram, get there. It will give you all the latest updates on Irish MMA news and some breaking news while we're there. So definitely get over, give it a follow. We're really, really looking forward to seeing you there. And let us know that you followed from watching the podcast.
Yeah, and if you want to know who won the fight, make sure to ask us on Instagram. Ross, as you said, things are heating up. We're back. We're looking forward to this one now. We're going to start off with this weekend. Ireland's own Kiefer Crosbie is back in the UFC. He's fighting in Shanghai. Ross, this is a huge fight for Kiefer. He's coming off back-to-back losses on the UFC. Now this weekend, he's back. Shanghai. How excited are you to see Kiefer Crosbie back in action this weekend, bud?
Man, I'm absolutely buzzing to see Kiefer back. I think this is probably the best shape I've seen him in for a fight. He looks like he was smashing it over in the UFC PI. I see now he's in Shanghai with Lee Hammond. I'm not too sure if Eric Nixick's on the way over or not. Obviously, it's still early in fight week, but Kiefer Crosbie, this is a must-win fight for him. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, at the same time, he was over in the PI. Paddy McCurry and Rhys McKee were there, and no better inspiration to look at than Rhys McKee, who was 0-2 in the UFC and got that win. And you could see the confidence that gave Rhys, and like the weight lifted off his shoulders. And I'd love to see that for Kiefer. He's been around the game a very long time. He's had some massive opportunities in Bellator, and he's finally made the UFC. And I'd love to see him give a really, really good account of himself. I know we touched on it before, that he hasn't really had a coach the last couple of fights, and that's really, really affected him. So I hope we just get the best version of Kiefer Crosbie, and I hope he gives a good account of himself. And I think it is a winnable fight for him.
Yeah, I thought you were going to keep going, man. That was like a poem you were reading out there. But yeah, look, like in the build up to this fight, we were talking to Kiefer to get him on the show. He was over and obviously did his fight camp over in Vegas, and then he went to Shanghai. The times didn't align, but also myself and Ross felt like the first show back, it should just be the two of us. You know what I mean? See if we can fix this friendship, Ross, because it was going down the drain for a while, man, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Baz wasn't answering my text, you see. That's the issue.
We were like, who looks cooler with the Energized Show glasses on? And that's how it all started. But no, look, Kiefer was putting out posts in the build up to this saying how his last couple of fights really affected him, and how he didn't deal with it very well. I'm sure if you go into his Instagram, you'll see it all. And he went very deep about this stuff as well. Also, the way he's touching on how he hasn't had an MMA coach with him for a while. Like, when you hear something like that, Ross, and Kiefer's after, like, he's in the UFC, this is the creme de la creme, and he hasn't had an MMA coach. Like, how does that make you feel?
I think it makes me feel a bit sad for him, to be honest, that, he got to the pinnacle of the sport, and then those around him haven't stayed on that journey with him. I think if you follow Kiefer on social, you'll see he does quite a bit of training in Paddy Houlihan's gym, Houlihan Martial Arts. You don't really see him on the SPG mats as often as you would have previously. So I think that's quite sad that that relationship seems to be now fractured. We've seen Keen Cowley and Lee Hammond, his good friends, be in his corner for the last couple of fights with Jim Upton, who's a boxing coach. And I just feel like when you get to the level of MMA that the UFC is at, you need an MMA team around you, and your camps have to be like solely about you and all about your training, and make sure that you're in the best physical peak shape, that you're as sharp as you can be, and that your body's in the best shape possible. And if he's mentally battling with not having an MMA coach, or not having like maybe his schedule set up for him, or he's running the camp himself, maybe people aren't going to be as honest with him as if he had his own coach saying like, you're actually doing this wrong, or like that's terrible way about going about training. I'm sure it's not all bad. I'm sure Kiefer knows what he's doing. He's well into his MMA career at this stage, but sometimes you need someone to tell you the harsh truths of what you're doing wrong to correct those errors,
Yeah. It is very interesting. Like, I mean, like just looking at what he's putting out at the moment, he looks like in the best shape I've seen him in a long, long time. I know he was previously touching on that he could be fighting lightweight, but this fight that he has this weekend, it is at welterweight, and hopefully, since he's got all this stuff off his chest, he can go in there and perform at his best. Also on the card, SPG Ireland fans and Irish MMA fans will know that Johnny Walker is in the main event. Ross, do you think John Kavanagh is going to corner Johnny Walker, but he's not going to corner Kiefer for this one?
No, I don't think we'll see John Kavanagh at all at this event, if I'm being honest. I think Johnny Walker now has fully gone over to Eric Nixick's camp. He's fighting out of Extreme Couture, and I think that's where he's going to stay. I think in terms of Johnny Walker, I think he was looking for more larger bodies over that way. I know Will's an SPG, and I know Carl Moore's an SPG, but I think Johnny Walker was looking for something more stable. And again, if you have the ability to uproots and go to Vegas and go to the PI, like obviously Johnny Walker's not Irish. I know his partner is, but he moved over here before, so like he probably doesn't seem like a big deal for him to move over to Vegas. And like you only got one shot at this career. And if you feel like the PI is the best place for you to be doing your strength and condition, and if you getting his rounds in Extreme Couture, like I know we might not be everyone's favorite fighter, but we've seen the leaps and bounds. Someone like Sean Strickland, who's like, a lot of people say he's very one-dimensional. Eric Nixick took him and guided him to getting that gold at the UFC level. Same with the likes of Merab Davashvili, same with Aljamain Sterling. You know what I mean? Like it's a really, really highly touted gym over there, Extreme Couture. Eric Nixick is one of the best coaches in MMA. I think maybe last year, the year before, he won MMA Coach of the Year. He was helping Francis Ngannou as an MMA coach as well. Like he's trained some of the best people in the world. I'm not surprised Johnny Walker's gone over there, and I'm also not surprised that Kiefer Crosbie's looked to Eric Nixick to give him a hand for this fight and potentially fights going forward.
No, I'd agree. And then just looking from the outside and looking in, like this, Kiefer's put it all into this one. So like, lost his previous two fights. Like, look, you saw the way Loughran was coming off a win and was let go. Like Reese had lost two fights back, and then he got his win. Like things can change in an instant, and he's fighting a guy from China who is making his UFC debut. He was previously meant to fight Keenan Song, who had fought Ian Gary before, but this one now is a huge opportunity against a guy who has 10 first round knockouts, Ross?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this guy is going to be absolutely no joke. He's coming in here for violence, but we all know that like that's what Kiefer Crosbie thrives on. Like he loves having a knock, as we would say in Ireland. So I don't think this necessarily doesn't suit Kiefer one bit. I think this is a chance for him to go in there and throw down with another up and comer on the UFC roster, and may the best man win, one might say. But I think this is a fight that is definitely winnable, The only thing is, he just has to mind his P's and Q's to start off the fight, because this guy comes out swinging. Like, he has a lot of first round finishes as well, so that's definitely something he's going to have to look out for. But I'm sure he studied him, and he's looked at him. Like, I'm looking at this guy's record here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 first round TKO finishes or KO finishes. Like, that's a lot. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially considering he's 11-1. So this guy comes in for the finish early. So let's see how it goes. But look, I suppose he's fighting someone who's making the UFC debut as well. So, like, there could be some jitters there, and he's going to be fighting in front of what I would assume be somewhat of a hometown crowd. And at the end of the day, Kiefer's been there, he's made the walk, and this is a bit of a do or die moment for him in the UFC.
Yeah, we'll be covering it all week on the Instagram page as well, so make sure to check that out, because this is a huge one for Irish MMA fans. As we said as well, Johnny Walker will be in the main event against Zhang Ming Yang. Another fight in the card that is definitely one to check out is Brian Ortega against Aljamain Sterling. And then on the prelims as well, great GB top teams, Loughran Kavanagh is taking on Charles Johnson as well. Loughran Kavanagh has made a huge splash in the UFC since his debut. Ross, that is UFC Shanghai that's going down this weekend. There was also big announcements that came last week. It was Paul Hughes is going to be taking on Usman Nurmagomedov for the PFL World Lightweight title. Also, Caolan Loughran is going to be fighting Lewis McGrillen in a bantamweight clash as well on that card. That's going to be October 5th. And as you mentioned earlier, Shauna Bannon, is back in action on the 6th of September at UFC Paris. So, like, those are some big fights we're really looking forward to. Ross, where do you want to start?
Well, we might as well start with the rematch that we thought was up in the air whether we were going to get it or not. Paul Hughes versus Usman Nurmagomedov 2 goes down live from the Coca-Cola Arena over in Dubai. I think that's going to be an absolutely gargantuan fight. By the time fight night rolls around, people are going to be absolutely buzzing for it. I think the build-up is going to be absolutely sensational as well. Paul Hughes is obviously a razor-close decision. I think we both thought he won the last time out. And now he's going in against Usman Nurmagomedov as well. Usman was very tentative, I would say, about taking this rematch. He seemed to really delay this happening.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's no other stars at lightweight compared to Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov that PFL have. This is their opportunity to actually have a fight that goes into mainstream media news. This is a fight that they can put on that is going to get clicks and people entertained from all around the world. This is their opportunity to, build these two people as the stars that they are. And I think they have to rerun with it, because, like, PFL was on at the weekend and I barely knew it was on, if I'm being honest. And I'm not trying to bash anyone. And there was, like, some really big wins. Like, Alfie Davis became the PFL World Tournament Champion for 2025. Really, really great to see for him. But again, like, their promotion for it, I think, was quite poor. And that's not... I'm actually trying to dig them out. It's more... They need to do better to get people to be invested in their fights and invested that the fights are on. And at the end of the day, like, they're the number 2 promotion in the world, and they need to really step their game up to match up to UFC, especially with UFC getting that 7.7 billion deal from Paramount. That's just increased UFC spending power, and the more spending power they have, the bigger the UFC is going to get. PFL are going to have to try and match that. I think that it's very hard for them to match it, but I think they could definitely do a better job of building up stars that they have. And, like, with that being said, do you think putting Loughran versus McGrillen on that card, like, obviously it will bring a lot of eyes to it, but do you think they missed a trick by not maybe putting that in Liverpool or Manchester?
Great question. I think they're stacking this card. They might actually make it a pay-per-view. Do you know that?
Do you think so? Well, like, UFC is getting rid of its pay-per-view model. So do you think, like, pay-per-view models are even a thing anymore? Like, not being funny, but like most of the people I talk to order their fights off the dodgy box. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing. But PFL were more going in that direction. Now, look, like how many people do you know that actually buy the UFC these days? Like, you know.
Yeah, but like I think PFL, you know, sometimes they air their grievances out in public as well, which I don't think goes well. And like Don Davis basically gave out that Francis Ngannou hasn't shown up to either PFL Africa event. I'm like, all right, maybe you will be annoyed. Obviously, like tragedy, Francis Ngannou lost his son, so like he's going through a lot at the moment. But why didn't no one pick up the phone, Francis Ngannou, and find out what the story was, and then maybe release a statement why he's not there, and then go from there? Just how like that question's asked and answered. Because people are going to ask why Francis Ngannou isn't there. So part of his contract signing with the PFL was that PFL would invest into Africa.
Yeah, I think he's like on the board of PFL Africa now as well.
Exactly. So like, and like, if you want people to watch PFL Africa, having Francis Ngannou in the Belgium definitely helps more than hinders. You know, or like, why didn't they announce Francis Ngannou's next fight at one of the PFL Africas? So that would really get people interested and really talk about PFL Africa. And these are just like things that I look at and go, you know, water is wet, and that's a good idea, you know?
Yeah.
So PFL should definitely do that. But I really think they did a great job promoting Hughes Nurmagomedov 1. I think this one's going to be an even better promotion because you already have the fight there to use as part of the promo package. The two of them went toe to toe. You know, in Paul Hughes definitely landed more damage, whether you want to say, you know, Usman stole rounds, whatever way you want to put it. But both fighters thought that they won on the night. I think it's going to be an absolute epic occasion. And I really hope that, you know, the likes of McGrillen and Loughran, whoever gets the win there, will get the rub off that and will feel like a big star in their own right. Because that's a fight where people are going to make sure they tune in to watch. And this is an opportunity for PFL to really cement themselves as a must-see franchise. Because the way I look at it now is like UFC has these like cult fan following that like people are watching the UFC every week, or like they want to know the results of the UFC fights every week, or they're watching back the fights on YouTube or whatever after fact. I feel like people don't really do that with PFL unless there was like a viral moment, like a viral KO or something along those lines. And I feel like PFL have an opportunity now to get more fans invested in this fight and the fights on this card than they ever have. And it's their opportunity to convert some of the UFC fans to PFL fans. Because let's be honest, there's no MMA fan like just likes PFL and doesn't like UFC. Every MMA fan basically likes the UFC, and your job is to try and get as many of those over and convert them to PFL fans. Like that's just the fact of the MMA world landscape at the moment.
No, I agree. That's why when you asked me, did the PFL miss a trick by not putting McGrillen and Loughran on a Liverpool and Manchester card? Like that would always be great as well. But I think, as I said, I think they're going all in on this card. I think they could make it a pay-per-view. Who knows? Last time they did. So it's going to be very interesting. But like, do you know what? Like, I know the Usman Paul fight. Like that's a huge fight, right? Obviously, we're 100% going to check in. As I said, it's going to be on the 3rd of October. But there's something about that McGrillen Loughran fight that actually makes me more excited. It's just like McGrillen now is the mouth in PFL. You know what I mean? Whether you like it or not, he's just he's that guy. And like that left hand is absolutely frightening. And then like Caolan Loughran was a massive, like when he went into the UFC, he said he wanted to fight Sean O'Malley straight away. Like we walked out to the UFC Paris with the fingers up and no music playing. Like if that Caolan comes to PFL and they do like a face-off, like that's going to become the fight people are going to be looking forward to most. Because obviously, because Paul and Usman's fight, you've already seen that before. It's just like it's going to be extra spicy. So I know McGrillen's definitely going to rub Caolan Loughran up the wrong way. He's just he's going to do it. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of respect there, but I also think that come fight week, you know what I mean, there are two guys who have egos who think they're going to win, and like that's going to come to a head at some stage. I think the same thing will happen in the main event as well. And looking at the card as well, it's on a Friday night, and at first I went, why are they doing it on a Friday night? But it actually makes sense because UFC 320 is on Saturday night. Now, they probably could have went head-to-head with the UFC just based on time zones. The UFC 320 is going to be in Vegas. If the Paul Hughes main event was on at, let's say, 11 or 12 o'clock, I mean, people would definitely watch that over the UFC prelims, I think. And they could have maybe got more fanfare. But I suppose you're going to have fans all over the world who are getting excited for Ankalaev and Pereira too. And they're also going to get excited for Hughes and Nurmagomedov too. And there are probably fans out there who will be more excited for Hughes and Nurmagomedov too than they will be for Ankalaev versus Pereira too.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely, definitely.
So like those cards are gonna be close to rivaling each other by the time the fight night actually comes along. Because I think Corey Anderson's the co-main event there for the light heavyweight title. And I think Dvalishvili versus Sandhagen's the co-main event for UFC 320. So look, they're both going to have some really interesting fights on the cards, but that's a weekend not to be missed in MMA. It's a weekend not to be missed in Irish MMA.
No, 100%, man. Your birthday weekend, man. Not really. But also, it is... look, man, that obviously that card's getting stacked up. Like, I'm looking forward to the build up to it. Like, obviously, there's going to be a face-off between Paul and Nurmagomedov as well. Like, I really want to see what the reaction is when Paul was saying you were ducking me, because like that's what's going on, especially when Paul was in the arena last time holding the duck with the Dagestani hat thing. But it's going to be interesting, man. That's like I'd fully expect the likes of John Mitchell to be on the card. Who else would they put in that? I don't think they put Nathan Kelly on that. He just fought very recently. Maybe they could get like a Dara Kelly on it.
Yeah, but I think even those two is like enough for the time being, for my liking anyway. You know, like once those two are on the card, I'm fine with it. If they can get more Irish on the card, brilliant. But if they don't, like, I think what they have is great. But Dara Kelly will be definitely a great addition, as would John Hughes, John Mitchell, who has now moved to Fight Academy Ireland to train full time with Paul Hughes. So I think that is something that is definitely something to be looked out for. Look, I'm really looking forward to it, and there are some big stars. So, like, you know, as we said at the start of the show, Irish MMA is really, really hotting up, and I do want to give a shout out to someone who is fighting in the Accor Arena on September 6th. As I said earlier, Shauna Bannon is back. She's coming off an absolutely phenomenal win. That armbar went absolutely viral all over the world. Shauna obviously had a big head kick and got the armbar. Mama B is back, and she's riding a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, and she's fighting Sam Hughes, who is 10-6. And this is a massive step up in terms of experience bad. Sam Hughes has had 10 UFC fights. She's had more fights in the UFC than Shauna Brandon's had pro fights. This is a huge step up in competition for her. What do you make of this fight? And what do you make of Mama B in the UFC so far?
So far, well, obviously she started off with a loss, and now she's after getting 2 wins back to back.
First finish as well.
Yeah, which makes her the most winningest Irish female fighter ever. So she's actually going in as a living legend, Ross, on that day, which is actually nuts when you think about it. Which is great for her. But the thing is about Shauna, you can notice with certain fighters they get a push, whether it be on social media wise or the way that they're spoken about. Like, if they like you, they're going to put a rocket ship on your back. And Shauna, they like Shauna. Like, even that win that she got, but even the hype they give her in the fight week, the way they did a lot of stuff with Molly McCann, like it did. Like, she's getting like a massive rub compared to other Irish fighters. So this is a huge fight, but like Shauna always backs herself already. Now I'm sure Paddy's in the background, and I think she's under new management as well. So like they're looking after her. But when you have a bit of hype about you, they want to give you a test. I think the way she pulled off that win last time and it went viral, she probably got a new contract. I'm not 100% sure. But I think that they're confident that Shauna will perform at this one. Like looking at her training, like the stuff she does with John Connors and the likes of like the Max Laddies, the Emer Darcy's, the Kiefers, etc. She's looking phenomenal.
Yeah, she is.
So, and now that she has that finish, I think she's going in as a different animal again. So I'd be very worried if I was Sam Hughes. What about yourself?
Yeah, big time. I think her camp looks to be very structured now. Obviously, as you touched on, doing the strength condition with John Connor, having Paddy, who is big on the mental side of the game as well, in her corner, and obviously elite level coach. And then the training partners that she has, Kai O'Sullivan, Emer Darcy in there, Gary Rooney, a few other CMAC crew just be training across there as well. I think that's really, really beneficial for her. I think she has great bodies to be working with now, and I think she's going to really show levels in this fight. I think we're going to see a much improved Shauna Bannon even from her last fight. I think she's in for a really tough test. Like Sam Hughes is very, very difficult to get put away or to put away, and I think Shauna Bannon definitely has her toughest test to date. You know what I mean? She's only been put away 3 times her entire career. Out of 16 fights, so like that's a tall task for Shauna Bannon to do. But I think Mam B is going to go out there and get her hand raised. I think she is showing developments in her game each time out there, and that armbar finish was absolutely sensational last time, and I think we'll get it again this time. So
yeah, that was
Mama B.
That was absolutely epic, that armbar. I remember just bouncing around the gap after that. Like just touching on like other fights that are coming up in this week. Sorry, Ross. We were talking about PFL. That actually PFL returns this Thursday. Fabian Edwards is looking to win the world
tournament,
middleweight tournament.
Yeah,
and then also this weekend, Irish MMA is back. You've been looking at the countdowns going on the Energized Show's Instagram page. Akuma returns, and Ross, we will be there because there will be some epic fights on the card.
Yeah, absolutely. I am really looking forward to, especially the main event. Benny Johnson is fighting against Lee McGill on a pro welterweight title. This fight is going to be absolutely epic. Benny Johnson went toe-to-toe with Troy Gibson in an absolute barn burner last time out. Obviously, Lee McGill went and won his pro debut down in Elite FC in Cork. That was a massive win for him. He is really highly touted. I remember watching him live at the Ironmans back in Dublin at the National Championships, and he is buckets of talent, that fella. And then also in the co-main event, we have Jake Gilpin versus Mario Boychek in a lightweight bout. Jake was unsuccessful in his pro debut against Aaron McDonald, and Mario Boychek won against Yusuf O'Kane and Gladiators of one of their first events. So again, 2 young, hungry pros going at it only live at Akuma. Make sure there's still tickets available, so like definitely make sure to get them. It's going to be an absolute whopper event, and there's an absolute Gansey load of other title fights on the card. I'm really looking forward to CJ Armstrong versus Daniel Ara, and that's a middleweight title fight. Daniel Ara is coming out of CMAC, and CJ Armstrong is coming out of hybrid martial arts. He's fought on Akuma once or twice before, and Daniel Ara's looked really, really good. And obviously CMAC are on fire at the moment. Their pro team is undefeated at the moment. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. And then there's loads of other really good fights. And again, one thing that I will say is I'm very impressed of I think there's 3 or 4 women's fights on the card, which I always think it's great to get plenty of women fighting on the card. I know, is it Lisa Murta is fighting on the card, which is something that I always think is really, really cool to see. And then we have Gemma Coghill versus Lena Schmand from SVG Ireland as well. Gemma Coghill is fighting out a New Era. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that as well. And there's a few novices fighting on the card that I'm really looking forward to see. Also, I just think it's going to be a great card. Like Steve's matchmaking is always absolutely sensational. Declan Martin's fighting Patrick Devine. That's a novice fight that I'm like looking forward to see, and it's rare I'd be looking forward to a novice fight. Normally, you look at the novice fights and you're like, oh, should we really cheering for one person over the other or getting excited for them? Because at the novice level, you're like, they might not actually continue on with sport. But there's some really, really good fights. And one thing I will say that's absolutely incredible that Steve has done is he has... I don't think I've actually seen a fight card with so many different gyms fighting on the card as well, Baz. I think this is the most amount of gyms I've ever seen fight on a domestic show. Now, someone could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but there's an absolute rake load of gyms fighting this card. So please do get up and support Irish MMA. Get your tickets. Buy the pay-per-view link. It's going to be an absolute fight to remember. We'll be there. We'll be updating the results live as they happen. So please do check out Akuma. It's going to be an absolutely whopper night.
Yeah. I'm especially buzzing for that main event, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Steve knows exactly what he's doing with that yoke.
Yeah, he does. Like, Ben Johnson is an absolute animal fella. Like that fella, he has the dog in him, as they say.
Yeah.
And Lee Migo looks like a top of the range prospect. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then, what?
But see, look what happens like when you make an All-Irish main event. Like, that's the stuff that people like.
Absolutely. And then, like, even Boychuk versus Gilpin, I'm just really looking forward to that as well. I just think, as you said, like, you get these young, hungry pros who are fighting each other at this level, and someone's career has to take a bit of a knock, but I feel like the person who wins, like, their trajectory goes really high up. I'm sure Gilpin will be in there with a point to prove because he lost his pro debut. And then Boychuk, a lot of people say that decision was very controversial, that he got the win in. So he'll be out to make a statement as well. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing it. Like, this is going to be an absolutely whopper card come fight night. And there's unbelievable fights on the card. And look, this is going to be a fight night to remember, Basmo.
Yeah. And think of all the selfies people are going to ask you for. Or they're going to ask me to take a photo of them with you, man.
Nah, man. It'll be all about you, man. All about you. You're the face of the franchise, as the kids would say.
The people just, if we don't wear the glasses, it's like Batman taking the glasses off me. But no, just touching on that as well, Ross, the way you were saying, like, these All-Irish dust-ups, like, look at the way Cage Warriors came out with the announcements of Matthew Friel against Jamie Avabissa, and then Damien McKenna is going to be fighting Kikyo. Like, the second you get an All-Irish dust-up, like, that's where everyone's eyes are just brought to. So there is some exciting times ahead. As we said, Cage Warriors will be back in Dublin next month on the 27th of September, the same day as ADCC Ireland, Ross. So look, like, as we were saying, like, we are back. It's great to be back. We were out celebrating my birthday over the weekend as well, and we were like, look, the time is right. Things are heating back up. The summer's winding down.
Yeah, as John Cena would say, the time is now.
The time is now, man. And we are back. So just wrapping up this week, the PFL is back Thursday. UFC Shanghai is this Saturday. Kiefer Crosbie is competing on the card. So is Johnny Walker. Make sure to check that out. And Akuma Fighting Championships is going down Saturday the 23rd as well. So it is a huge week for mixed martial arts. Myself and Ross are back. Anything else you want to say, bud, before we wrap this unbelievable show up?
I think one or two, like, tiny bits. Shout out to Paddy McCurry, who is going over to Dana White Contender Series. Really look forward to seeing how he gets on there. He's on, I think it's at week 9, but or maybe it could be week 5. Look it up anyway. It's on I think the ESPN website. Shout out to Will Fleury, who looks like he's going to fight Martin Boudet at an unknown date in Octagon. And that's going to be a whopper. Brian Manning, as we announced, is signed to Octagon now, so that's another thing to look out for. Shout out to Darryl Sullivan, who had a successful pro debut over in WoW FC. And I think that's probably it for the time being, but we probably missed one or two bits since then. I think Omar Shaban, actually, I think won since the last time we posted as well. So shout out to him. He'd be another person who we'd love to see get on the Contender Series. But look, I know we were gone for a while. We are back, and we're going to continually be back. So thanks for everyone who reached out to us. And look, Baz, we're gonna absolutely smash this with content over the next coming week. So all I'll say is support your local MMA shows, support us how we can help them grow, and as always, stay energized.
The Energized Show, up the Irish. It's the face that runs the place, Chaos Curtis. I want to thank the Irish MMA community so much for getting behind me. You up the Chaos Cartel.